Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, streaming January 25th, only on Netflix.
Girl, real talk. This whole "it's new year, time to reinvent myself" trash is not the vibe for 2024. You can find someone who loves you for you, as you are. You don't need to read a stack of self-help books, only eat sad salads, or start meditating at 5 a.m. to be ready for dating. So yeah, my advice is to download Bumble and find someone who embraces you the way you are right now. Let me know how it goes.
A note to listeners, the following podcast contains content that may not be suitable for all audiences. Discretion is advised.
He had got a message from his friend that Molly was tied up to a tree, and this was all around the 10th. We had dug up this one spot, and we all three thought, "Oh my God!" It looked just like a body, like a skeleton.
These ain't the only two. I promise you. There's more, and he is the devil, and he sure deserves to go right on to hell. I promise you.
You are listening to Partners in True Crime. We are your hosts, Rob and Cindy Dorfman.
We want to thank everyone for the support this past week and to let you know that we've created a discussion board on Facebook that we hope you'll join, and that we're starting a campaign for Molly on TikTok called Paula's Plea. So please look for it and help us share it to get the word out, because we definitely need your help. Without your help, this is impossible.
This week, we're lucky enough to have another one of Molly's cousins, Misty Howell. Misty has been investigating this case with Paula since day one. They're an incredible team.
Let's call Misty.
Hello.
Hey, Misty.
Hey,
How
Misty.
are you?
Hi.
How are
Hi.
you?
I'm fine.
First of all, we wanted to say we were so sorry to hear about Alex.
Yes.
Oh, I know. That was heartbreaking.
I know.
And, we're still all a little bit in shock over it because it just all happened so fast.
Yeah.
It's awful. I'm so sorry.
Exactly.
Just so you know, we're recording this. Are you okay with us recording this for the podcast?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. But Misty, really quickly before we forget, can you just tell us how you're related to Molly? What was Molly like? Just give me a little bit about her.
Okay, so Molly's mom and me are first cousins. Our daddies are brothers. So Alex is my uncle. Molly's grandpa is my uncle. And Molly babysitted for me anytime I needed to. I moved home, got a divorce. I lived in Marlow, moved home, and Molly babysitted for me, and that's how we got really close. Molly knew anytime she needed help or needed me or anything, she could just call me, and I would be the cool cousin that would call her, come and get her, or whatever she needed. That's why I knew when she went for a few days, and I just thought maybe she went to the lake and stayed longer, and she, was maybe upset at her mom, I just really didn't know what the situation was, but she's never not came home because she's one of those persons that she's going to let us know something. When it went 3 or 4 days, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And Molly was the type, she was going to take up for herself. But we were all raised that way. As Millers, we're tough, hearted, and strong people, just to where we're not going to start something, but we're not going to take no crap off. And that's the way Molly was too. She took up for herself, and that's just the way she was. But she was a sweet person.
So I think the best thing to do is let's start at the beginning. When you first found out that Molly went missing, how did you find out?
Okay. I believe it was Molly's mom and several of Molly's friends that called and asked me if I seen Molly or has she stopped by, and I hadn't seen her, and I told her I had told them if I did I would let them know, but it just wasn't unusual. I figured she'd show back up, and that was like around on the 10th. No, it was on the 9th. So it was on that Tuesday. Yeah. So it was like around on the Tuesday whenever we started getting really concerned. Because in the beginning, when I did talk to Melissa, I said, where was she going? Well, she was supposed to have gone with Jessica to the lake, and that was what they were going to do for the weekend. So it was like she didn't come back home, you see.
Yeah.
So that was, to my understanding, she was supposed to have gone to the lake with Jessica Williams that weekend and then winded up at Josh Davis's house instead of going to the lake.
Yeah, so that's surprising for all of you.
So when did you first feel like something went wrong?
The next day, I had messaged Michael and I said, "Has Molly come home yet?" And he said, no, they hadn't heard from her. And me and Michael, and we were trying to work during the week. This is during the week, and all of us was trying to work and trying to be worried about Molly and just was hoping that she would just show up and come back home. He had got a message from his friend that Molly was tied up to a tree, and this was all around the 10th. And Molly is the type of person that she's clean. If she's out in the woods, she'd be needing a bath because she'd take a shower 3 times a day. She's one of those that she likes to be clean. She's not one to sweat a lot, not even in sport. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if she was out there in the woods, she's not. She's going to find a shower somewhere. Something was wrong when she didn't show up, especially it was 90 to 100 degrees during that time. It was really hot. So I started really getting concerned. I'm not friends with Colt Haynes on Facebook, but I PM'd him on the 10th. And I screenshotted it, exactly what I said to him. And this was July 10th at 10:28 p.m. I said, "Hey, Colt, call me." And I gave him my number. And then the next day, July 11th, I said, ASAP, and I capitalized it all. And I said, "Call me, bring Molly by my house now." And I did put 3 exclamation points because after Michael told me that he had heard that she got tied up to a tree, we started getting concerned. It was like, what in the world? But how Michael got that was on the 10th, his friend, mom, is a beautician. Jeremy Hodges was talking, and his friend's mom that was cutting this lady's hair was overheard her say that Greg Vickers had told her that Molly Miller was tied up to a tree. So the lady that was cutting the hair called her son. That was the roping buddies with Michael, and he messaged Michael and said, "Hey, I think Molly's in trouble." And so he told him. So then we started figuring out, okay, where do we start trying to find Molly? Well, through some friends, she was the first place me and Michael went and looked and this was on the 10th. It was on a Wednesday, the 10th. After we got off work, we went to Long Grove. It was at this guy's mom's house. His name was Clay Paul. So we went to Clay Paul's mom's house because we didn't know where Clay Paul lived at the time. Then we got a message that where Clay Paul was staying, it was an apartment in Ardmore. No one answered the phone No one answered at the house nor the apartment in Ardmore. So we was kind of like, we didn't know what to do. So the next day I got a message to Greg Vickers. And I knew Greg Vickers just from growing up. He's a big old guy, nice guy. We wanted to talk to him. And I could tell whenever he was real nervous because he didn't want to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
And we did go to his house, and I asked him to get in the truck with us just to ride around. Just, we're not mean. We just wanted to ask him some questions on who told him and what, and tell us some information about Molly being tied up to a tree. And he said, I just kind of heard it, and he just never would really come out and tell us who told him, but he said it might not even be true, and then he started going backward. And that's what happens with all these. They start trying to tell you something, then you get real involved and want to start checking into it, and then they start running backwards. Because then they're like, oh no, when you really start trying to talk to them. We really didn't get much out of him that day, just on, he just said, I'll try to find more information out, that did he get back with us? No. I feel like there was some truth to that, being tied up to a tree.
Yeah.
But there's so much in this case right now that, it's overwhelming,
Yes. That rumor about her being tied up to the tree, there was a bunch of people who had said that. So to me, it seems like, why would anyone make that up?
Yes. Also, on the 11th, I messaged Colt Haynes' sister on the 11th, and I said, do you know Colt Haynes? I didn't have a clue. Someone had told me that they were brother and sisters, but I wasn't sure. Anyway, she said, yeah, that's my brother. And she said, I don't see him a lot, but she let me know that he lived where he lived on 9th Street, but he was staying with Josh Davis. So that kind of rang a bell. Okay. Anyway, she's the one how I got the information about the refrigerator. And she told me that, I believe, on the 12th. Let me go back on my notes right quick. 11th or 12th. She said Rob Branch took them a refrigerator to where they were staying. As far as I knew him and Con hated each other. So I don't know why they would be together. Because I told her about that. That's what we heard.
Who hated each other?
Oh, Con and Colt. The sister said as far as she knew, she didn't know why they were even together because Con and Colt hated each other. But she knew that someone had messaged her that Rob Branch took them a refrigerator out there.
Out where?
Out to Con's grandparents. So this all happened within the first week. We're talking the first 3 or 4 days.
Is that common that people would bring other people refrigerators?
No, unless you got something I don't know. Now, maybe for them people out there, did y'all ever read Charlie Weatherford's statement?
Yes.
Police statement?
Yeah, but
okay.
Refresh our memory because Rob hasn't read it.
Yeah.
Okay, Charlie Weatherford is a girl, and her boyfriend was Dakota Paul. Dakota Paul was the guy that worked on the oil rig. Kobe Barrett had asked him to bring him some caustic acid. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
And this came from his girlfriend, and the girlfriend said he didn't come home Monday night, which would have been the 8th.
So the person working at the oil rig was asked to bring caustic acid to Colby.
Out to Kobe Barracks, which Kobe Barracks and Con, they live right there, right across the street from each other.
And what is caustic acid used for at an oil rig?
Caustic acid, I don't really know, to be honest with you, but I guess they got it in barrels out there. But after we looked into what caustic acid does, it's supposed to dissolve, but it's your skin. And I don't think it does melt bones, but it might. But I don't think it does. I mean, I don't know. I just knew on her statement when she said that, and then I tried to talk to Dakota Paul after that, and he wouldn't talk to me.
So when Charlie Weatherford, do you remember if she filed a police report?
Yeah. Okay. So that's the police report that Paula was telling you, that Officer Wilson, PD, he said that she wouldn't talk to him. So we got the police report, and went to take it over there and let her do it, and met her during the night.
Oh, so this is when you guys took the police report. They gave you
Parsley.
So
yes.
he just ripped off a sheet of the incident report for you, and you took it over to Charlie, correct?
Yeah, we met her at the Wilson Casino and just sat there in the booth and let her fill it out.
And then you gave it back to Parsley.
Yeah, gave it back to him.
What was his reaction when you gave it to him?
He said he'd take care of it and give it to Felix, which Felix was, I guess, the sheriff right there, at the time. Have you heard of his name?
Felix Hernandez, yeah.
Yes. And then Monique would try to get back and forth with me at times and just say, well, I'm still waiting on Felix to let us know some things. So he just never would get back and inform, because he knew in the beginning they just wanted to put it as a runaway. In the very beginning, they put her down as a runaway, and then but we all didn't know, in the beginning what happened. My Aunt Paula Jo, which is the grandma, Alex's wife, my Aunt Paula Jo was her rock. Once she passed away, Molly she fell apart. And
how soon after she passed away that Molly fell apart?
I think, within that year. And I can't remember. It's been so long ago. I remember it was right before my dad passed away. My dad passed away in 2011. And I want to say it was the year before. Molly just didn't have that stability. The grandma she came home and she listened to her grandma. And she didn't have that grandma to listen to. And so it was like she started rebelling. Started kind of getting a little bit out of control and having trouble. Melissa was having trouble with her. She wanted to move back home to her mom's because she was living with Alex and Paula Jo. And when she passed, she just kind of fell apart.
Okay, can I back up just a little bit? I want to go back to when you guys took the report for Charlie at the casino. How soon after Molly was missing that report was filled out?
Oh gosh, I want to say it was within the couple of months. I almost think it was September, but I could be wrong.
And she reached out to you guys?
Charlie Weatherford?
Yeah.
Yeah, she talked to us. And when she filled out the report, we thanked her and was hoping that they would do something right then about that. We couldn't get nothing done. Carter County tried, and then that's whenever the dog got shot. I don't know if you'd heard about that.
No. I read something about that when the 2 deputies from Carter County went.
Yes, shot one of the Nips dogs. It was Clay Nips' dog. They got in trouble after that. It's like Carter County shut down, and we didn't have absolutely no help there. Mm-hmm. But they did try in the beginning. They worked hard, there were several deputies that did work hard in trying to help us that we knew because we knew him personally.
Let's go back to the tip about the tree for a second. So Michael found out about the tip. You found out about the tip. What did you guys do?
After I let them know about it, I want to say it was around Thursday or Friday, Michael and Alex went down there to Rob Branch's house and had a talk with him, which I'm not real sure. After you get done with me on these, I would call Michael. He can tell you a lot, too, about their conversation back and forth with Rob Branch. I want to say he did take them a refrigerator, though, but I'm not sure what all was conversed back and forth or why they said they needed one, because, he's not going to tell them anything. I want to say he did tell them that he did take the refrigerator. Kobe Barrick had asked him to bring a refrigerator out, and that was the end of the week.
So when you heard that tip from our podcast last week from that anonymous person, what did you think about that?
I called Paula last night at 2:00 in the morning because I had been on vacation, so I hadn't really kept up with all the podcasts. I finally got to that one last night, and I feel like there's a lot of truth to that.
Why?
Whenever me, Paula, and Mandy went up to Con Nip's house the day that, we had been digging and digging. We'd got these tips that she was in a shallow grave. So we'd go down that, is it Simon Road? I mean, we would go to different places, and if we seemed like just a little bit of hill, we'd try to dig it up. We run ourselves ragged on trying to find her that said she was in a shallow well. Whatever well we went down, we had Tim with Texas EquiSearch, Tim Miller, trying to go all down through all these wells, and it was just, we were at a loss. Well, that particular day, it was on a Sunday, and I want to say it was around a holiday at the end of August, 1st of September, right around there. There was a holiday. On that Sunday, we had dug up this one spot, and we all three thought, oh my God, it looked just like a body, like a skeleton. We all panicked, freaked out, called Michael, and we had run ourselves ragged. We're looking for her. And he dug it up, and I don't even know what we thought we saw, but it wasn't, it was nothing. And we went up we were tired of it. We were like, if they're going to kill us, they're going to have to take all three of us down. So we went down Long Hollow Road. Anytime you went down Long Hollow Road, I swear they have cameras, because one of them would meet us. That particular day, Jennifer Nip met us on the road on Long Hollow. We were in Paula's gray truck, so she was slowing down, and it was before we even got to the Grandpa and Con's house. She pulled up beside us and said, "Can I help you?" And Paula said, "Yeah, we come to talk to your grandpa," because we had gotten a tip that they had buried Molly by that dog pen underneath some cement. We was wanting to ask permission from him if we could just go in the backyard and just search around and just see.
And where did you get that tip from?
I actually don't know if it was OSBI or if it was Paula or somebody got a tip on that. So that's where we were going, because we had been wanting to get on the land anyway, which, every time we tried to go, we got ran off. So once we got up there, she said, sure, turned around, which I was surprised. She turned around, Paul heard us in there. We all went to the front porch. She went inside and got, we call him Old Man John. That's the grandpa. She went inside and since he was blind, she guided him out and set him down in the chair. And we was all standing there, and we were telling him who we were. And I said, Ernie's my dad and Alex is my uncle. And then Paula was saying, well, they're my cousins, and he said, I know them. They used to horse trade with me, and so I was thinking we were getting somewhere with him since he knew our parents. He did not know at the time that we knew that she was with Con that night, because this was still early. I'm talking within 2 weeks. We had asked him if we could go search behind the house or just all around the house, just to search. I mean, nice as we could. And his exact words were, no, we have a lawyer, and he advised us not to. So that was a huge red flag for us. About that time, there was a black Chevy pulled up, Con Nip and his daddy, one arm, and he has one arm, his daddy, John. They're all Johns. And they get out of the pickup. Con walks right through the house, right past us into the house. I looked at Jennifer Nip and I said, was that Con? She said, yes. I said, could you go get him? I need to ask him something. Anyway, so she brings him back out. In the meantime, while she goes and gets Con, I'm looking at one-armed man Johnny's legs. He had on shorts and his legs looked like somebody beat him with a barbed wire. They were like blood red, like somebody had whipped him across his legs, or he was running through briars. You see, it was that noticeable to where I was like, oh my God, what happened to your legs? And he just kind of chuckled and said, I guess I didn't realize I had shorts on. And that's all he said. About that time, Con came out and I said, I need to ask you something. And I just pulled him off away from everybody at the end of the porch. And I said, Con. And at this time, I didn't even know Con. I just knew of when people were telling me about him, that he was no good. He's just wild and crazy or whatever. I pulled him to the side and I said, Con, I said, can you tell me where Molly's at? He said, man, the way they talk. He said, I don't know, man. The last I heard, she was with Jason Dillard. And I was like, Jason Dillard? He's like, yeah, she's probably in Wichita Falls somewhere, and just was going on. And I said, I don't think so. And I bribed him. I said, Con, we'll pay you $10,000 if you'll just tell me. That's all we had was $10,000. And that was Uncle Alex was going to put that up. I said, we'll give you $10,000 if you just tell us where she's at. And he didn't know at the time that we knew that he was the last one with her. But we were just going to let him see how far he was going to push himself to try to blame it on somebody else. You see. Well, he was just kept on about Jackson Dillard. He would look at me a few times whenever I would try to ask him things, and he'd had tears rolling down his eyes. So I knew he knew something. I knew he wanted to tell. I was waiting on him to break. And every time he would try to start to talk after that, Jennifer would say, hey, you don't have to answer that. And then the old man, Grandpa, says, do y'all want a glass of tea? We were like, no, and he was trying to just break surface because it was getting heated. And then Paula goes, Jason Dillard's in jail. He freaked out and said, that motherfucker rolled over on me. And he started freaking out, pacing back and forth then. Well, I brought that up to Paul last night. I said, you know what? Remember whenever he said that motherfucker rolled over on me? Because I said, he is friends with Laura Chatham, which is Brienne's walk-in sister. So they all know, they all run together. There's so much that goes in together with Brianna's sister and Laura and the mama. The mama's name is Delinda Chatham. And I know all them real well. I even bought my wedding dress from Brianna back in 2002 because she was one of my little sister's best friends. So we knew that family. We've known them forever. And then the last few times, they're native. The few times all three of them came in, they were real nervous around me because I'm an optician assistant, and they were real nervous around me. You can just tell, like, whenever I try to let them put on glasses, you know what I mean? You know how you can tell when they know something and they're not. You just have that feeling. It's an uneasy feeling. Like, why are you so nervous around me? I've known y'all forever.
And now let's just clarify who these people are. These are the people that used to own the property that our anonymous tip was talking about, where that pond is.
Yeah, Brianna owned it. And I did hear shortly right after she did sell the place and move. So that kind of was a red flag too. This is the deal with this. The law enforcement get these tips. They get so many tips and they don't follow up with it. That to me, that was a huge tip. And I remember back then, several years ago, about this tip before she even moved. And I'm like, well, I didn't search that.
Do you remember what the tip was exactly?
I'll have to go back and go through mine because I have a box. But I don't know. I just knew it was on her land. Something had went down on her land.
Girl, real talk. This whole it's new year, time to reinvent myself trash is not the vibe for 2024. You can find someone who loves you for you, as you are. You don't need to read a stack of self-help books, only eat sad salads, or start meditating at 5 a.m. to be ready for dating. So yeah, my advice is to download Bumble and find someone who embraces you the way you are right now. Let me know how it goes.
Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
Let me just say one thing. I mean, you had Love County investigating this in the beginning, or actually Carter County. I'm not sure who was taking the lead on that, but you had them, you had the Wilson PD. So you had 3 different police departments before OSBI got involved. I would imagine they got flooded with tips, and we know the history of how these tips happen. I mean, it sounds like they, as far as we know right now, that little pond behind that person's house was checked, but we haven't gotten confirmed that yet. We've been told it was checked, but we don't know. So we have to confirm that. So it's a very confusing case. You got a lot of different people.
Do you know, Misty, if that pond was ever checked?
No, I didn't know. Paula said that she thought that it was, but then once she talked to the OSBI, I believe, or one of the officers, nothing was checked.
Nothing was checked.
And, his deal, we can't check everything. We can't do everything, that. Well, yeah, you do. You rule it out.
Yeah.
You check things, rule it out. Go through, sweep it out. But
they would have need to get a warrant, and obviously getting a warrant, as you know, was hard to get on this case. Yeah. The most recent one a few months ago was just denied, and the one that Jackie Bates put forth, which was pretty detailed, according to Jackie. And he dotted his I's and crossed his T's, and even ran it by other judges outside the Oklahoma, and they thought it was a good search warrant. I mean, Phil Klein, the private investigator, thought it was a good search warrant. He even went on the news and said so. So that's probably why no search warrant, and that wasn't taken into consideration. That's all I can guess. Because if you get a tip like that, I would think that you would want to check it out. You got to
follow up with it, and just eliminate it,
Yeah.
That's just what you do.
I don't know whether or not they have the resources out there. I know Love County is tiny. How many deputies they have, but like a handful. I know Wilson PD is a small department. Carter County is not big either. Cover a lot of area and territory. Sounds like the crime out there is pretty diverse, because if they're overwhelmed, they can't handle a potential homicide investigation, which is why the OSBI was brought in. But now we're coming up on a decade of this case, and it's a little confusing how we can go back and see how certain things just weren't followed up, and it's heartbreaking.
I've got to go back on some things because I wrote some notes down.
Okay.
When I was talking to Melissa, Molly's mom, Con Nip's mom is Melissa too. Her name's Melissa Greenroyd, Michaela's mama. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, she had called Melissa Greenroyd, I want to say on the night. She couldn't remember if it was the 8th or the 9th, she said, after we were talking, which was later on during the week. She told me about this. She said, I called and asked Melissa Greenroyd if she's seen Molly, and she said no, she hadn't seen him. She said, well, what I heard that she was with, how I know this on Tuesday, because Molly's mom, Melissa, my cousin, she had called Tanner Skelton's grandma, which was Molly's ex-boyfriend. And she said, have you seen Molly? Because she was just calling around everywhere trying to check. Hey, have you seen Molly? Have you seen Molly? Well, she said that Tanner and Jessica had just left her house that morning, which was around Tuesday, which would have been the 9th. So that's why this had to be around the 9th or 10th that she called Melissa Greenroyd and asked her the same thing. Well, when she did ask Melissa Greenroyd, and she said, because I guess she had found out that when they did talk to Jessica, whenever she did find out about the Jessica was with, I guess Jessica maybe said, hey, she was with Con. Well, Melissa had told Melissa Greenroyd that she was with Con. And this was, she said, around 1 a.m. in the morning. She said it was the middle of the night. She said Melissa Greenroyd screamed out the biggest scream. She said it scared her so bad that she just didn't know what to do. Melissa Greenroyd panicked. And I said, to Molly's mom, I said, so do you think maybe she was thinking she knew that there was a girl with them, but she did not know it was Molly? You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She knew something went down already, but she did not know the girl that was with them was Molly. So that's why she screamed. Would that make sense to y'all?
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
It's hard to say at this point with all the stuff, the wheels that are moving, but it's interesting that happened.
Yeah, and she said it was the most horriblest scream. Like it scared her to death.
Well, and Michaela, Con's sister, wrote that statement to the police.
Yes.
In Carter County.
And why didn't they follow up with that? That's what I did not understand. My daughter goes to church with her, and she's a pretty decent girl. She wouldn't have no reason to lie.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of great things about her. A lot of people said nice things about her.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no reason. Maybe Con's mom just didn't know. No, she just knew it was a girl that was with her at that time. To my understanding, that Melissa Greenroyd knew that, that she had wrote that statement out. So was they trying to get them to do something about it? But they didn't. Nothing was done about it. And that should have been a red flag right there. Another red flag.
Well, do you know for a fact that they didn't go, because I know when all this happened and the law enforcement tried to talk to Con and Colby, that they lawyered up right away.
Even the OSBI tried to go out there and talk. Well, that's the first thing the grandpa said. He lawyered up. Well, at the time, in the very beginning, he said Charles Myler was his lawyer. That's the one he kept lawyering up to. Well, after OSBI checked into it, because we went out there first, and he told us, well, no, the lawyer. Well, he didn't even have a lawyer. Charles Myler, to my understanding, didn't even know anything about that at the time. He didn't. This was early. But he would just throw that so it would just get us off his land. He said the same thing to the OSBI. At the time, the OSBI's name, that was the other OSBI, which he was buddies with Joe Russell, and we didn't get anywhere with him. I got his name down here somewhere. Did you ever get his? This was the one that retired in March of 2014.
Oh,
and he
David
Seals.
David Seals, yeah.
Yes. So he was already ready to retire. So he was just like ready just buy his time because he knew this was going to be a big case, you see, and he didn't want to. So there we are, no help. But I did hear he did go out there and try to talk to him. He lawyered up, said he's got a lawyer. But Charles Myler has already passed away now. I think he passed away a couple of years ago. So they don't have a lawyer, to my understanding, or maybe they did.
I'm sure they have another lawyer at this point.
Oh, yeah. I do too, I figured. But then the grandpa's passed away now. So I don't know. I'm sure the money's thin, and we've run their life. But there is some good nips out there. He's just the bad one of the crop. I do know that they're not all bad. I like a lot of the nips. One of them, my cousin's married into a nip, and he's the greatest guy ever. So they are good nips out there. He's just one that was always running from the cops and I didn't really know about Con until this happened. And then the more people was telling me from Wilson, man, you don't want to mess with him. They're just crazy. Me and my uncle Alex and my daughter were really close.
So what did Alex think happened? I mean, he knows these people. He knows these people inside and out. He's lived in that area. He lived in that area his whole life. He knew them.
Alex knew that.
What did he think?
He knew that they killed her, and there was times where he would say, I don't have nothing to live for but my grandkids and Macy and Ramsey. And he would say that all the time. I have nothing to live for. He was wanting to go down there and get revenge because he felt like she never come out of those woods, and she might not have. Then we got this new tip that other things are connecting with this new tip. This is kind of my theory on what might have happened. Con dusted them out going down Long Hollow. He turned his lights off, we know for sure. Con knows those back roads. He knows his land. I feel like he let them out. That car was still drivable. Could he have made later on, the next morning, picked them back up? There is a ravine behind the NIP property. When we tried to go back there and search, we got to search not even 30 minutes. They found clothes. They ran us off. They found a backpack, which, come to find out, it was probably one of their kids. Nothing. It wasn't Molly or Colt. Backpack and some clothes. But right when they found that, they ran us off. Nick Huffaker and Kobe Barrick was sitting on a four-wheeler. I'm pretty sure one of them was holding a gun. I'm not real sure. But they were just sitting on the four-wheeler watching us go down through there. And that was within the first 2 weeks we had that search.
Well, it makes sense that he was trying to get back to his land. And if the car was still operable, we're talking the car was abandoned probably about 400 yards from the NIP property line. I mean, we were there. We saw it. And that was the way he was going to escape. As soon as he gets on his land, they can't come get him.
And I want to say, okay, a couple of weeks after Molly went missing, this had to be in August, me and Michael went up to Lou Ann Wilson's, which connects with that property, which y'all probably heard.
Yep.
She drove a little red Chevy truck. Well, me and Michael got in the pickup with her, and he was talking to us, was like, I'm sorry for your loss. And at that time, we're still thinking we still had hope, that we didn't know that we had that feeling, but no one had really told us, sorry for your loss, that they already knew that she was dead. She said it once. She said it about 3 or 4 times to me and Michael. And she drove at the edge of her property and just wanted us to look at her property. We drove all around. Do you know if she goes up and feeds her stuff at the barn, which is probably, I want to say 300 yards from her house, her barn was probably 200 yards to the south of where the car was parked. She would have seen that car if that car had been there from the time that he supposedly wrecked it, that night. She would have seen that car there.
Wasn't she the one who discovered the car?
No.
Who discovered the car?
It was a deputy. It was the undersheriff.
Yeah.
It was the deputy that discovered the car. The one I just called, Diggs.
Yeah, Jim Diggs. The only reason Jim Diggs, and we all felt this way, we were out there searching across the high fenced area. It was called the high fence, and it connects, and it's a hunting refuge through there. And there's a house on it, and the guy rents it out, for hunting. Well, he let us search on the inside. Well, when we were going up on that backside, we passed Kobe Barrett's house. Kobe Barrett come out of the house, and so Michael stopped. We talked. We were all like, "Oh Lord, here we go," because we knew he was crazy. We thought, well, this is either going to be going good or it's going to go bad. Well, he was actually acting nice, and Michael and them. He said, "Man, what?" He said, You can search whatever you need to. He was being all nice. All of a sudden, we're talking within 15, 20 minutes, Jim Diggs knows we're out there. I think at this time, he just done what Joe Russell wanted him to do. You see, he goes, and all of a sudden they come up with the car. And because we were already out there, we were fixing to run up on the car. We would have seen the car when we made that corner. But all of a sudden, so Kobe Barrett had to have told Joe Russell that they're fixing to find that car. You better come out and do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they were already communicating whenever we were already about to approach the car. And then just all of a sudden, within 15, 20 minutes, that car was found. That wasn't a coincidence. It's just not in that same day. Just right after we see Kobe Barrett. And then that same day, we was still out there on four-wheelers. We wanted to talk to him after they come and got the car. Laura, which was Brianna's sister, Jason Dillard, and Salone came by in the car as we were on one of the side roads out there. And Kelly Brewer, at the time, she said, "Hey, there goes Dillard," because he had been running from the cops too. I want to say Jim Dillard tried to run him down at that time too. Jason Dillard was another one that they kept throwing up. Jason Dillard's name. Jason Dillard. He kept saying he's out. When even Conwood was talking to me, he said, "Did y'all try Wichita Falls? I bet she's up there with Dillard, Wichita Falls." So he kept kind of blaming Jason Dillard that he had involved with. I don't know. We just don't know.
So Laura is Brianna's sister.
Yes.
And Brianna Watkins is the person whose house it was where the pond is that the anonymous tipster gave us.
Like they all run in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
They're all buddies. They're buddies with Con. So it's like they all work in a circle.
Where is Con today? Is he still up there? Because we heard he's in someplace else.
Con's dad?
No, just Con. Is he still living in that area?
I think he just comes in and out. I heard he got married and moved to the city, and then last I heard he was out there at his grandma's. So I don't know if he's at his grandma's or if he's up there. I actually don't know.
When Michael went down to, because I remember this, when the tip came in that Molly was tied to the tree, Michael had gone down there. Were you with him when he went down there?
No, I wasn't.
What did he tell you happened when he went down there?
I remember him saying there was law enforcement everywhere. Like he couldn't get to them because there were so many cops down there. I guess at the time that something had went down. And he couldn't even get through there because there were so many cops at the time.
Where?
So he turned around and
at the Nips?
Yeah. He said he couldn't even get down the road, Long Hollow Road.
Because that's what they said. She was tied to a tree at the end of Long Hollow Road.
Yeah, out on the Nips property. He said you couldn't even get down Long Hollow Road. Like he had turned around on Oswald. Yeah, he has some good information on communicating with Kobe, and he'll talk.
Okay, we'll talk to him.
I mean, he's the same with us. He just wants to get this over with. And
what's it been like for you, Misty? Because I know you've been with Paula through this whole thing.
Yeah, it has been mentally, and thank God that she doesn't have a job that she can do the footwork that we can't, because we have to keep ourselves sane with our job. And Michael wound up, he had a job for 18 years. You get so consumed in this that he switched jobs. He had to switch jobs because it consumed you so much. That's all you think about. And it's been frustrating and it's been hard. And thank God that we do have Paula that can do daytime, talk to these people. Because usually when we get off at 5 o'clock, everything's closed. So we can't get anything done unless we do it on our lunch hour. Mm-hmm. Just trying to keep up with it and trying to get somebody to move to help us. I got so consumed in it, about lost my own job and I've been there 15 years, but you get so consumed in this, I had to back off for a little bit. And they all understood, that me and Michael, we had to keep our minds straight, because you can lose it and get to where that's all you think about. And I know, how Paul is with it now too, that you get so tied up in it and you want answers so bad, but then you're at a loss because they just want to shove it under the rug. Like, It didn't happen. Cold case. But we're not going to let it go a cold case.
Well, notwithstanding the law enforcement, because, they do have lots of cases and stuff like that, not giving them the excuse that why this isn't solved yet, but just the people who know about it and the people who participated in it. I don't know how they can, and they all know, you guys all know each other. You guys are all, you're some of you are related to each other distantly.
Yeah.
So it's just confusing how these people can continue to just
be tight-lipped
and denial of everything when this is a horrible crime that happened.
Yeah. And, another thing, what kind of made me think of her story, because we did hear that there's people behind these people. That's what they're scared of. There's gangs. So maybe that's why they're shutting people up down.
Yeah.
They find out they're talking, they start shutting them down, threatening, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I went in Justin Brown's office, OSBI at the time, which he's in Tisch now, I believe. But he's still working, on it too. But he explained to me, he said, we got a one-shot deal, Misty. He said, if you say, okay, she is under this cement behind their yard, and we dig there, tear their dog pen up, cement, he said, and then she's not there, that was our one chance. I kind of was thinking, I didn't understand that, Okay,
I don't understand that either.
I didn't understand that. Well, okay, we got one chance to go in there, and so what I felt like they were just waiting on someone, and this might have to happen for someone to roll over when they're in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
I think that's the best way. That's the only way they're going to get an answer to this. So someone's going to get in trouble for something else, and they're going to have this information. They're going to offer it up so they get a plea deal, which could happen. You have all these people that are involved in this or still involved in criminal activity and doing stuff. So it could happen. And maybe that's what they're waiting for. Because I understand from a prosecutorial aspect that they want everything lined. If they do find somebody, they want to be able to put them away, and they want a solid case. So I understand that part of it. Yes. But at the same point, your family, you, Paula, and your family have been keeping it alive. And that's a testament to Molly and Colt.
Yes. And I feel, and I had a dream in 2014, and after I was living across the road in this other house, and it was the most, I don't even know, I got it written down in Molly's box. I even sent it to Paula, which Paula's looking for it, because I wrote it out exactly how my dream happened. But in short, this is back in 2014, Molly, please show me some kind of guidance. Show me what happened to you. Show me where you're at. And I would pray every night, please, Molly, please show me something, either in my dream or, at nighttime. I had dreamed that it was in a dark area, and I was gasping for air, and it was like fumes. And I was trying to swallow, and I just remember waking up going, oh my God. And it was like Molly was trying to grab at me, like she needed help. It was like she was in a dark place, and she was gargling, and she couldn't breathe because the fumes were so bad. That's not a coincidence. I think she was trying to tell me that she was gone, that she had, and that's where I'm wondering if maybe the caustic acid was coming in my head at the time. And I'm just trying to put it all together, maybe what tried to happen to her, but that was the most horrible dream I ever had in my life. And I was trying to help her, and I couldn't. And so that, and I wrote all that out, and I've got it somewhere. I sent it to Paula, and she's going to try to find it. But that was in 2014 that happened. And it was like I couldn't even breathe. I woke up gasping for air, thinking someone was suffocating me. And I just felt like Molly was just trying to show me what happened.
I'm sorry, Misty. It's awful. It's really awful. And at this point, someone just needs to say what happened and let you guys have some peace.
Yes, I agree. But like we said, it might just take someone that gets in trouble, because it's been so tight-lipped. I don't understand why someone won't, but I think they're trying to protect themselves.
Or just say it anonymously then. Give the information.
And say she's here.
This is where she is, and let law enforcement go get her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We told you last week that we had some revealing information on a recording that was made several months ago by Paula. And now she's decided to share them with us. We did not make these recordings.
We're going to keep the identity of these people anonymous to protect them. But law enforcement is aware of these recordings, and these people have been questioned by them.
Please be advised that the information on these recordings is very disturbing.
In your opinion, not knowing exactly what he's told me, do you believe what he has told me?
I do. Between me and him, just to, it's really on his conscience.
That's all I've got is my word, but I promise you, it's as 100% correct as it could be. That baby girl was just caught in a crossfire right there.
Do you know who hurt
her? Yeah. And there's a bunch of them. I got tied to a pole down there, a fence pole and post and beat nearly to death. And, it took me 4 days to get to town. And I was told, keep my mouth shut. And I've kept it shut as long as I can. This is a dangerous group here now. I just couldn't say Scott was it's just bad. It's got bad. I ain't gonna lie to you. Screaming nightmares and shit. I don't even talk about it really no more, y'all. It's a terrible thing. I hate it. And
Where is she? You know where she's at.
I sure do.
Yeah.
Don't have no recruiter on. I'll tell you everything.
Okay.
All right. Pull up down there to get a boat to go to Mountain Lake. And
Was you on the backside of?
Yeah, I was right there. I pulled up there, see him out there tied to the tree.
Yeah.
Okay. Kobe started tripping out, thinking I was in drug court fixing to graduate, and he started tripping out and shit, and grabbed me by the head, drug me out of the truck, tied me to a tree.
How long were you there?
A couple of days.
And
to that tree.
And she was tied to the tree the same amount of time?
And Molly knew you. Did she know? Was she aware that she knew? She knew you.
Yeah, she did.
So.
And I couldn't do a damn thing about it.
Yeah.
And when Colt took off, when he took off, he had a hurt ankle. And here's what happened. When they took off on a chase, how they switched that car out was a Joe Russell called Willie, and Willie and the girl went and got that car. That's not to say how that went down. Joe took the car and cleaned it up, all kinds of shit. They put the other car down there for a disguise deal, and I don't even like telling this story, y'all.
So then, are they alive still? Where's Molly and Colt at this moment?
Molly was on a tree. She went to crying, screaming, and y'all don't really want to hear this.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
I'm not telling this. I can't tell this to y'all. It's
okay.
awful. No,
They took the car. They switched it out. Joe Russell had Willie and some girl do it. Probably Terry. Is that right? Is it Terry? Okay. Well, I recall, Terry Hodges, her testimony at the federal grand jury was that they tied Molly to a tree. Her words were they ran a train on her. So I'm guessing that's after Colt had been killed.
Yeah. I'll tell you everything I know. I sure don't want to because it's awful. You really probably don't. It's bad.
Yeah.
I feel like I should have told you guys, but I went there, had nothing to do with it. I was in drug court. I was plumb out of that life, and that word, it just makes me want to cry,
I know.
It's a sad deal. The best thing if you can get these guys prosecuted, get it done, get your closure, and because it's gonna get way worse before it gets better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's gonna get nasty. But there's a lot more to it, and as far as the meanness and the evil, that Kobe Barrack's the devil.
Yeah.
I promise you. These ain't the only two. I promise you. There's more, and he is the devil. And he sure deserves to go right on to hell. I promise you.
But I was told
Next
that all
time
of us
on Partners in True Crime.
well aware of the sensitivity of working this case. as well as the danger to it. They did tell me that there's a possibility people might be watching us, so we did have protection watching me and my dog Chance, just as a safety measure. Please note that we had already been searching for hours at this time. No results, no change of behavior indications by the search dog. When we got to this area, the dog showed an obvious and an immediate change of behavior and alerted exactly where this fire was.
If you or anyone you know is suffering from a methamphetamine addiction, please contact the American Meth Addiction Hotline.
If you or anyone you know has been the victim of sexual abuse, please contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline.
For any tips relating to the disappearance of Molly Miller and Colt Haynes, please contact 833-4-MOLLY and Colt, and they will be directed to the proper law enforcement agency.
All rights reserved. This has been a production of 722 Media Content. Please visit our website where you can subscribe to the podcast, find show notes, and listen to Vi's original song, Take Me Back, written for Molly Miller.